Alrighty. Welcome to episode 4, Market 4 of Around the Saloon. No, Ron, Edwin is not Hall of Famed yet, but we can finally, once and for all, say almost. And we will talk about that today. Let's introduce our casting crew for your 4th episode, starting with our returning champ, the Reddit man himself, Icicles. How are you doing tonight? You ready to defend your crown?
I'm ready. I'm here. I'm excited that I get to fill in the height for Brushy. Can't quite be as loud as him because I've got a sleeping child in the room next to me, but I can at least do the ridiculous hand motions, whatever other stupid gestures that he does. So I'm here for it.
All right, his gestures are stupid. Jammies is also joining us tonight. He is returning from, I think the last time Jammies was on was week 1, if I'm not mistaken, where he lost a close bouts to RonMexico, aka Ronnie Tuesday. How are you doing, Jammies?
I'm doing well. I remembered to schedule my dentist appointment later in the week, so I won't be as hard of a time talking today.
Smart. Okay. We like those non-post dentist appointments streams. Also returning tonight is MartyB, the man who lives in a puddle of tears. How are you doing, Marty?
I actually moved out of my puddle of tears.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty good.
We'll s-
It's kind of cold here, so I made an igloo out of them. So
Warm tears. Okay. Okay.
yes, well, cold tears.
Did you knit yourself like a tear or a sweater made out of tears, like on SpongeBob?
No. That was out of eyelashes.
He made
What
one
do you
out of
think this is?
tears too. Remember? It was after
Yeah,
the
but I used.
eyelashes.
You're right, but I used all my tears for
Okay.
the igloo.
Okay.
So
You saved yourself. I'm about to dock you a point for not having SpongeBob knowledge.
of course I have SpongeBob knowledge. Funny.
And lastly, we have the return of the smooth talking RonMexico, this is his 3rd episode. I think that he is now at the highest amount of episodes so far out of everybody. How are you doing tonight, Ron?
Doing great, man. It's easy. All you got to do is not have anything else to do on Monday nights. But I'm happy to be here. I'm excited for the show and thrilled to take part in this with these fantastic guests too.
Alrighty. So we are going to jump right into it tonight. I will say that just kind of give you a little bit of a heads up as far as how the night's going to go down. We have more standard themed questions than we have in the past. We only have one Battlegrounds question tonight, and that is due to a lack of Battlegrounds personalities on the show, which I am okay with because my Battlegrounds knowledge is limited. So we're focusing more on the standard and the THL content tonight. And we're going to be starting off in the Mulligan phase. And we're going to start off, we're just going to get it right out of the way, right out the gate. We're going to kick things off tonight with our one and only Battlegrounds gameplay question. We do have a Battlegrounds series question, but we're going to start things off with our only Battlegrounds question. And we're going to start off like we always do with our returning champs. So Icicles is going to have the floor. We're going to do a follow-up. He's got a little bit of an edge here because we talked about Alistra last week, and he was on the show. And we're following up here this week with our only Battlegrounds question being an Alistra themed question. So starting off here with you, Icicles, was the Alistra nerf too much? Alistra went from a 7-7 to a 4-4.
You know what? I think Reddit was right. I think they nailed it. I think it needed to be nerfed. It got nerfed. It's a lot worse. Is it bad enough? I think so. I think it was good. So I think it was a good nerf. You bring a little more parity to the Battlegrounds, and Reddit called it.
Okay. A man that is straight to the point. Let's go clockwise here. Jammies, was the Alistra nerf too much?
No, I think it's just fine. I mean, it's got Divine Shield and Reborn, so you're taking away effectively +3 attack. The health is kind of negligible, but like +3 attack 4 times, so it's like a -12 nerf overall. I think it's fine. I think the biggest problem with it was that when you got it early, you could defend like your early taunted minions, and then it was kind of hard, and you got rolled by those taunted minions. But at this point, I don't really see like the taunt build being as one of the elite builds in Battlegrounds. So the nerf overall, I think, was fine. The card is really good, and now I think it's not busted. It's still really good.
Alrighty. MartyB. Oh, sorry. I said clockwise. RonMexico.
I mean, as much as I don't want to just completely agree with the other two, I kind of have to agree here. Also, props to Icicles for the Reddit strats coming out strong. You love to see it, but I think it was just right to make Alistra a 4/4 because at 7/7 it was absurd. It was so ridiculously strong with the fact that it just took out 4 different hits. And now that it's a 4/4, it's much less I'm always taking this card because it's so ridiculously good. And it's more just this is a lot better as a tech. I've got one taunt that's going to protect my other stuff that I need to attack in a certain order, so I can put Alistra out there, and it just soaks up those 4 hits without actually being so broken that it just demolishes your opponent's comp. Instead, it's like, okay, this is kind of fair. It's more the purpose of the card. This is a tech. It's not just supposed to be ludicrously good in every situation. So it's fine now.
Okay, looks like they hit the sweet spot according to RonMexico. Now we get our way to MartyB. MartyB, finish us with our last Battlegrounds thoughts of the night.
Yeah, I think everyone just hit the nail on the head, including Reddit. It still serves a good purpose for breaking shields, letting your minions clear. But now, like everyone has mentioned, it doesn't solo comps, especially in the early game. Like, if you get it early on before, it soloed so hard. There was just a huge power spike, and no one could compare or compete with you. And now, even if you get it early, you don't have that power spike. You can't get way ahead like before. It's not exactly, niche tech, but it's still solid enough where it can help you in certain builds, push your comp forward without pushing you so far ahead of the competition that landing it early is an automatic win.
All right, it sounds like everyone has a general has come to like a consensus here on Alistra, and that's good to see. It's good to see. We're gonna kick Battlegrounds to the curb. We have 4 standards focus players in front of us, so we're gonna talk standard for the most part tonight. So we're gonna get right into standard. We're gonna just move straight on to it.
My
And
heart,
what? Did I miss
that
something?
hurt.
What do you mean? Oh, you're a wild.
Standard focus.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
I know. Whatever.
Mhm,
Back off.
mhm.
I don't want any of this MartyB complaining all night crap that since we had you on the show last time. I'm keeping all 4 of my eyes on you, mister.
I'm just setting the record straight.
Okay.
Marty beleaguered.
So we're gonna talk about our mini set coming up. A lot of the predictions are that the mini set would be announcements, at least, would be coming in pretty soon, with potentially the set dropping sometime around next week. That would be, I'm sure a lot of us would think that would be ideal, but we haven't seen anything just yet. We're going to talk a little bit predictions, and I want to talk about legendaries. Last week we talked meta. This week let's talk legendaries, because legendaries are what brings Hearthstone that extra flavor, the extra oomph to the game, right? So my question, starting with MartyB, let's just circle it right back around. MartyB, what kind of legendary should we expect from the upcoming mini set?
Man, I feel bad going first now because I'm going to ruin the question for everyone else. Blizzard actually said how many legendaries were going to be in the mini set. You want to know how many?
How many?
0.
Well, shit.
There's
Hold
no
on. You know
legendaries
what?
in the mini set.
All right. You know what? That's fine. I can keep up on my toes. CMAC is saying 4. I don't know what that means. 4 what? What kind of
Epics.
What kind of epics? Yeah, nice.
You know what? Yeah, that's much better than just changing it to. I just changed it to cards.
What
Epics is much better.
Yes.
What kinds of epics should we expect from the upcoming mini set, MartyB?
As in
Don't
class
as in me.
epics,
Don't
or
as in me.
all right. Well, I think what we're mostly going to see is neutral epics. I think there's going to be at least one tech card, personally. One may find a home in an archetype. I don't think they're going to make an epic to push an archetype like Secret. Personally,
Okay.
I think they already did that with Rigged Fair Game, and they kind of already hit the sweet spot with like 2 legendaries in that deck for standard. I think that yeah, there's going to be maybe 4, 5 epics. 1 or 2 will be tech cards. 1 or 2 will be full meme for your Johnnies or your Timmies, and then there's one that will be meta, and that'll create some new archetype or push a current archetype that's in the back burner right now.
Alrighty. RonMexico, what kind of epics should we expect to see?
So it's going to be interesting. There's quite a few cards coming out, and they're definitely going to try to push, I think, at least one new archetype that will come from an epic. There's going to be some kind of adjustment. But I think more than that, primarily the main thing we know Blizzard is definitely going to do. There's not meme hunter legendaries, there's going to be meme hunter epics. It's going to happen. Blizzard loves to push random meme hunter cards. They love to do my boy Rexar like that. So that's happening. You can count that for sure. The rest, we might see, I'd say probably like 2 cards are going to be reasonably like competitive that would be epics. The rest will be kind of cycling through based on the meta and changes.
Okay, so you're saying we're probably gonna see a Galakron's Awakening level of competitiveness from the cards.
That's what I'd expect, yeah.
Gotcha. Jammies, what are your thoughts?
Real quick, like a Jewel of N'Zoth, if you will. That great card.
So OP.
So as a combo player, some of my favorite decks right now are very viable. ETC, Warrior, OTK, Demon Hunter, Malagos, Druid. So inevitably, Blizzard hates these decks. So we're gonna see some combo disruptors, whether those be in the presence of like making your spells cost more, pulling cards out of your hand, a la Dirty Rat, stuff like that. They kind of did it when they did that like 3 mana 4/3. I don't even remember its name because it's so bad in Warlock that like makes you play a playable card. I think it'll be a little bit stronger than that what they end up doing, but I think it'll be about that power level as opposed to like Dirty Rat completely yoinking like a essential combo piece. At least I hope so.
Okay. Yeah, I wish I had the name of that card for you.
Chaos Gazer.
Chaos Gazer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Icicles, what do you think we are going to see out of these epics?
So got 2 predictions. One's a little more serious than the other. And the serious prediction is, so Blizzard obviously had this mini set in mind when they released Madness of the Darkmoon Fair. And I think what they did is they set themselves up to do some course corrections. So if some of the archetypes that they were trying to push in Madness didn't come through, they could then maybe tweak some of the cards that were coming out in the mini set to give them a little bit of a boost. And so what I think is going to happen with that is they're going to boost some of these slower decks that utilize the old gods that really haven't been as successful as Blizzard might have liked, because that was a big theme coming out of Madness of the Darkmoon Fair is, bringing back the old gods, and none of those decks have really taken hold. A couple of them here and there, but not really. So I would expect some support for that kind of slower, more control-y, more like big power spike. Some epics to provide some support there, either some healing or some other sustain that gets you that late game phase. The other prediction that I have, the less serious one, is So we've gone through a phase since Demon Hunter was first released, where Demon Hunter was basically always the top of the meta, and right now it's not. I don't think Blizzard will stand for that. I think Demon Hunter is going to get something in their epics that's basically at legendary level power, and they're going to put 2 of them in their decks. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be something like kill every minion on the board and draw a card for each minion killed. Something stupid. So
You didn't have to speak it into existence. Not appreciated. Sticky finger reprints from the chat. Interesting suggestion here. We're going to be moving from mini set and into the post nerf meta that we're just coming into. So prior to show, I took a look at the HS replay meta, standings, the meta tiers on the site for Legend to or Diamond to Legend, and there was an absolute shit ton of decks in the tier 1 and tier 2 categories. And the question I want to pose to the 4 of you, and we'll start with Jammies here, is what is the most underrated deck or archetype post nerf?
The most underrated deck that everyone should be playing, and I'm going to give you guys my secret sauce. Like, if you want to be successful on ladder, play this deck. Malygos Druid. Malygos Druid has been dominating for me on ladder. I was playing OTK Demon Hunter and I was like smashing, and then I ran into like Malygos Druids, and then I was just getting crushed because they get their combo off so much faster than you do. So with Shaman nerfed and with Rogue having, I know we're going to talk about that later, but it really gives room for these like super like fast combo decks that don't really have too many like defensive tools in it. It has just the right amount of stuff in there to like keep you alive until you Geppetto and 30 your opponent while simultaneously drawing your whole deck. So that sounds pretty powerful to me.
Okay. Yeah, I was watching Fino play that earlier today, actually. Let's move to MartyB on most underrated deck or archetype post nerf.
Yeah, I don't know if Malygos Druid is it. I was farming Mally Druids when I saw it on my climb, so agree to disagree. But what was good was Aggro Rogue. People thought Rogue is dead, no Edwin. No, you don't need Edwin anymore. You barely wanted Edwin in that deck. So put some good stuff. Rogue still has plenty of good cards. Foxy is still broken. You still have Secret Passage, which is insane. Okay, you have plenty of burn. Eviscerate. You have the 4-2 weapon that I can't remember the name, but it's also insane. And it's combo card, which means it goes hand in hand with Foxy. It's free. Miscreant is nuts. Lackeys are good. That deck can burn you so fast. And I can't believe more people aren't playing it.
Are you talking aggro rogue, or are you talking like the tempo rogue archetypes that we were seeing? Because there's a difference.
Aggro rogue.
So the one that runs like the archetype that runs like the 5-2 Scorpion that does 2 damage like
no,
that.
you don't need. No, that's more a stealth rogue build. This isn't really stealth. This is just pure aggro. You can hit up Arhat. Arhat has a list pretty similar to it. You basically cut most of the stealth stuff except for Spy Mistress. Sometimes you don't run stuff like Questing Adventurer. You run the 4-2 weapon, a few other combo cards. There's a lot of draw, a lot of burn, and you just send everything face.
All right, I will not be hitting up Arhat because tonight I learned he was a Patriots fan, so I won't be talking to him for a little while.
Shout out to Hat.
You made me go last again. Come on.
RonMexico. Jamie's lost a point for saying that. RonMexico.
It was worth it.
He told me Donde ruined that too. I didn't know that either, and he was like, "Jamie's is a Patriots fan too," and I was like, "Okay, just make this night worse, aren't we?" RonMexico, what's your most underrated deck or archetype post nerf?
I gotta disagree first with Jammies because I tried playing that Mally Druid and it's really, really bad when you don't draw Overgrowth early, like I never do. I gotta say a little bit for Marty too. I definitely agree on the aggro rogue, but I don't know if it's necessarily underrated. I've been seeing that a lot, and that deck is very scary. The deck that I'm very much thinking is underrated right now is actually, of all things, a shaman deck. It's just a different shaman. Check out No Hands Gamer's stream. He's been jamming Enhancement Shaman lately, and it's actually pretty busted. Like he climbs quite a bit, and when No Hands gets on a roll with the deck, I mean, we saw what happened with No Hands Lock. You know, like a few metas past, the guy just like basically pioneers the thing, and then it goes crazy and it's everywhere. This deck is super underrated. It runs Double Doomhammer. It actually runs a Cumulo Maximus for some more burn. It's got Dunk Tanks, Storm Strikes, Serpent Shrine Portals, Lava Bursts. This has got a lot of aggro and Inara to top off the curve. Like, this deck goes fast, it hits you in the face a lot, and it is scary. Not a lot of people are paying attention to it yet, but I call it very underrated, and I think it's going to be a force in the meta very, very soon.
Alrighty. I didn't want you to speak that one into existence either. I did not have a lot of fun playing against aggro shaman back when it was tier
Right.
1. Icicles, most underrated deck or archetype post nerf.
Yeah, so if we're gonna talk about streamers, then I've got one that y'all might want to check out. He's just a unknown streamer. Not a lot of people are watching him yet, but he's about to take off in a big way, and that's RonMexico.
Okay,
And he's been playing. He's been playing Soul Demon Hunter. And let me tell you, that man with the Soul Demon Hunter deck is legit. And I think that's a deck that people have been sleeping on a little bit. Lifesteal Demon Hunter was the new hotness, and Aggro Demon Hunter had a nice run before it got nerfed to the ground. But I think Soul Demon Hunter is still there. I think it's still powerful. I think it does a lot of good stuff. And the other deck that's starting to show up in the top legends is Zoo. And we're just kind of back to where we were a couple metas ago with Zoo running around, blowing people up, stealing their mana, burning them down, playing cheap giants. I think those two decks are going to start making a big comeback here.
Alrighty. I wonder if we are going to be seeing some of these archetypes show up in THL in this current week. Maybe some people were listening and they decided to take your advice. So, with that, we are going to be moving on to a topic that's been requested in the past. I would say at least one person has brought it up at some point during the past few shows in chat as a requested topic. We're going to talk just a little bit about hero portraits. Because when you're waiting on mini set news and we're in between, we got to talk about something. So let's talk about hero portraits. And the question I'm going to pose to the four of you, and we're going to start with RonMexico. I want to talk about the level 50 rewards track hero portraits. So there are 10 of them. They're all based on the basic heroes with differing themes. So RonMexico, what is the correct level 50 hero portrait choice?
All right, me go face. Wait, this isn't face or trade?
This is
No,
not
it's still kind of.
trade.
It kind of still is face or trade though, cause it is Rexar. All right, listen, I'm gonna stay on brand. I love Hunter. I've always loved Hunter. I'm never going any portrait but that, and I'll tell you why it's Hunter, because you don't really have any other options other than just like the main one. All right, the 1K Hunter portrait is literally the worst one of all time. I can't believe Blizzard did my boy Rexar like that. But honestly, I can predict what everyone else is going to say, which is probably the second best portrait for me, and it's Rogue. Rogue is really good. If you're not high up on Hunter, sure, fine, take Rogue. But listen, why not Rex Bay?
You don't like what's her face? Shit, what's her name?
Maiev?
No, Hunter.
The Hunter.
The red one.
Illyria?
Sylvanas?
Oh, yeah, Sylvanas.
Illyria or Sylvanas? Yeah, I
Sylvanas.
mean, I don't want to actually pay money for hero portraits, so that's out.
Okay, fair enough. MartyB.
Yeah, so, alright, let's go through these real quick. So,
Sure.
starting with the worst one, Priest. Why would you ever pick Priest? No. Let's go to
That's
Shaman.
a good take.
Shaman. Like, you have so many Thrall and other Shaman portraits that are so much better than this. Why would you pick this? Warrior. You have plenty of other to choose from. Come on, you can beat Deathwing. Why would you not want to be Deathwing? For Warlock, Warlock actually is a good one, but there's so many other portraits for Warlock that are already tier A or tier S, like Nemzi, or even the 1,000 Winds portrait. Okay, Uther I can see, but why not just be Arthas? Jaina is pretty good, but I think there's better. Malfurion, it's just Malfurion, and it's almost the same as the original portrait. There's almost no difference. Illidan, why not just get 1,000 Wins? Hunter, Ron, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ron. You can't. And then
For
finally,
shame.
we get to Valera. Valera, she's been struggling, okay? Rogue as a class has been struggling in terms of hero portraits. They haven't gotten many at all. They got Maiev how many years ago? 4? And Maiev was basically just a reskin of Valera from the start. Okay? And then finally, Rogue gets another hero portrait with 1,000 Wins. And they take Valera to your neighborhood party city and dress her up like a pirate. Can you believe they did her like that?
R.
So you just have to go with Knightslayer Valera if you have any respect for yourself. Because you can't disrespect Valera like that.
Interesting. Those are some hot hero portrait takes. Those hero portrait takes were so hot that when you disrespected the level 50 warrior one, some guy named TwoStarMako redeemed his yellow point down reward. Jammies. Jammies, what are your thoughts here?
So, as someone who spent a good 20 minutes, about like I hit level 50, and I was like, wow, I definitely should have thought about which one I wanted before I reached level 50. So I spent a good 20 minutes like pro and conning every single one, and I'm not gonna take everyone through that because my boy MartyB just ended up doing that, even though it was terrible.
Wow.
So I'm gonna tell you why it's Malfurion. I love Jaina, but it's Malfurion, and it's because if you look at Malfurion's hero portrait, like his first one, he's just standing there, and his 1,000 win ones, he's just standing there but facing the other direction. Like, why do I want that? And then everyone knows that Lunara is hot garbage. Like, who wants to be Lunara? So you have to figure out something that you want to be. And if I'm gonna be Nature Boy, then I want to be Nature Boy with the actual powers. And it's like I'm out here, shooting my druid magic at people. I don't actually play WoW, so I don't know what he does, but he's shooting his nature magic at people. And I'm like, all right, I can roll with that. A close second was Valera, not because of the actual portrait, but because of the flavor. And it's like during the day it's just Valera, but at night she slays, and I'm just like, man, that's some spicy flavor text. So that's why Valera is a close second.
Alrighty. Uh, I would love to have a Nature Boy Malfurion hero portrait. Exactly. If we can get a woo in there somewhere, I would pay good money for that. Icicles.
So of the level 50 hero portraits, for me it came down to Rogue versus Warrior. I think those are the two best looking ones. And ultimately I kind of, at the risk of agreeing with MartyB and his terrible takes overall, I think that he was right about the Rogue one just because of the lack of options. And I think just relative to the other Rogue skins, it ends up being the pick for me. But the Garrosh one is pretty cool. But in my opinion, the best hero skin on the reward track is a level 40 Jaina skin, because that is pretty sweet. And that's the one I'm using now for my mage, which I play a lot of mage. So I'm definitely a fan of that one.
Yeah, from left field. You're definitely not wrong. I think you could probably find an overarching consensus about that mage hero portrait. I haven't talked to anybody that disliked it, at least. We're going to finish up the Mulligan phase here with one final question. We're going to venture into the wild realms of THL, specifically THL Pro. We have one THL Pro question tonight, and it's a very interesting question. So, F2L recently underwent a change in leadership, with Icon stepping down as captain and Rebobson taking over. F2L also starting the season kind of in the bottom middle of the pack, with a 1-2 record. So my question for the four of you, starting with Icicles, is: will we see a new fire in F2L Pro after a change in leadership?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to because they're struggling in what I think most people would say is the weaker conference in pro. And so you look at the teams that they've lost to. They've lost to Due Process. They've lost to Top Washers. There's two good teams, but probably right around that sort of like just in the playoff mix level. And so that's going to possibly come back to bite them. So if they don't get that fire going, they're going to end up missing the playoffs and theoretically the easier conference. So they definitely need it. They need to get back on track really quickly. So I know Bobson can be a fiery character himself, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them come out strong this next few weeks.
All right. Good, straight to the point. MartyB.
All right, so I got some insider training on this because I actually help F2L out quite a bit. Yeah.
Hit us with it.
So I just like last season in Wild, I make sheets for a pro. So I know what archetypes are good, what are bad, what's a good bring. I have info on everyone.
Okay.
So I've been helping them out a lot. And I know for a fact. So the icon thing, there's no real drama there. I don't think there's really anything to get into. I wouldn't worry at all. Rebob is a great captain and he'll handle it fine. Last week was a bit of a fluke. Chin Magician is still adjusting. He's been kind of quiet. And Ariana got pretty tilted from a rough match last week, which is most of the issue was coming from. Just some unfortunate rolls and some tilting. Last week was a bit of a fluke, and I don't expect that to continue long term. They will turn it around, 100%.
All right, so you're on the turnaround board train. RonMexico, will we see a new F2L Pro, a playoff contending F2L Pro here?
I mean, I don't know about a new fire under them. I wouldn't even really call it a change in leadership. I mean, let's be real. Icon's been a figurehead leader for that team since like the inception. Is there anything Icon as captain really brought to F2L? Like, to be perfectly honest, I mean, when was the last time you played Hearthstone? The players are kind of self-managing. They just kind of get a collection of extremely good players and have them all work together in this F2L brand in like a server where they all kind of help each other out. A lot of times I don't even feel like it's really captainship that's so much the problem. Pink is a lot more competitive than a lot of people gave it credit for, and really just on the back of Black being so insanely good, people kind of overlooked the Pink teams also being good. But you look at the slow starts. You know, Snake is a really good player who's pretty well known in THL. Berserk is insane. Rescue Wabbit has always been pretty good. And Ariana 20 and Chain Magician are two players that have started out a little bit slow. Ariana 20, I know from being a teammate on Unknown for a few seasons, is a very strong player. She also beat the crap out of me in Legacy 3-0 earlier this season. I think she's going to be just fine. And then Chain Magician is a monster of a player. Really, really strong on ladder. I think it's just kind of a little bit of a slow start. And honestly, they're still kind of in the middle of the pack. If they were in the Black Conference, sure, maybe you'd be really worried about them not making playoffs, but they are in Pink. It's a little bit of an easier road. They're hanging right in there. Rabobson probably maybe whips them enough into shape that they turn things around, but I wouldn't go so far as to say it lights a fire under them. It's just the team is probably just going to settle into their groove and start playing a little bit better.
Smart words. Jammies.
Yeah. I first want to give a shout out to RonMexico saying that F2L brings in exceptional players. As a former member myself.
Nice.
So they did lose two exceptional players in myself and Glee. You know, Glee being the obvious backpack for that duo right there. But I think that the players that they brought in, I mean, like last season, it was Rescue Rabbit, it was Berserk, Snake subbed in for us every once in a while whenever we needed him. I think we actually ended up playing like 4 or 5 games last season and did very well. And then, I mean, between these two players, I have no doubt saying that, you know, Chen Magician and Ariana 20, that between them, they're very strong, and I would even say stronger than the team that we fielded last season. They played Due Process super close, and you know, if it, you know, one match point anyway, and you know, that's a win for them. And as someone who called like Due Process not making the playoffs, I think that that's a team that they can very easily overtake despite the loss last week. I don't know if the change in captainship really does anything. As a member, like Icon was there to remind us that, you know, when we needed to submit our decks and stuff like that. But outside of that, we were pretty much left to self-manage. I've never been a part of a team with Rabobson before, so I don't know how he captains. But like I said, I don't really think it has to do as much with the captain change as it is with these guys and women like finding ways to play with each other and figuring out like what works best, especially towards the beginning of the season. And now with like nerfs happening mid-season, it always gives a testament to like which teams prep the best, which teams figure out what the best decks are the quickest and implement them. And I think that they're definitely a group that will figure that out.
Let's hope so. With that mini set coming up soon, there's going to be a lot of adapting to be made. So if they're able to adapt like you just said, then they could put themselves ahead of the pack in that aspect. We're going to be transitioning to the next round, which is going to be our face or trade round. As a reminder, in the face trade round, the four panelists will have a choice of going face or trading. Going face meaning they agree with the statement, and trading meaning that they disagree with the statement, and they will be giving a short explanation as to why. It's a little more of a rapid fire, but we will see how this goes. We are currently standing with Jammies at 14, Ron 13, Icicles at 12, and Marty with 9, but it is still anyone's game. Especially with some of the questions we have coming up. So, face or trade, let's start with MartyB. We're going to talk Shaman. We talked about this just a little bit earlier about some Shaman archetypes. My statement for you, and I would like to know if you're going face or if you are trading, is Shaman is a bad bring and competitive now.
Gotta say trade. Shaman is not dead. I know nerfs and early stats suggest that Evolved Shaman itself is bad, but a lot of people still haven't adjusted, and this always happens in every nerf deck. There's also a few other archetypes that Shaman has that are still very good. Control Shaman is still a niche pick. It can have value, and as RonMexico mentioned, Enhancement Aggro Shaman is a very strong deck. Shaman isn't going anywhere. I still see it in the competitive field. People are still going to have to account for it. And I even think that they're still going to have to account for Bogspine Knuckles as early as turn 3. I don't think that deck is dead either. I think that it's going to be around. I think that people are still going to high roll with it. I've still been seeing people high roll with it. I think it's not going to be a problem as it was before. It won't dominate the meta, but it's going to be around. It's not going anywhere. And we're going to see a lot of ebbs and flows because of its existence, as well as all the archetypes within Shaman itself.
Alrighty. Icicles, Shaman, bad bring, competitive at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to go face. I think that the nerf to Evolve Shaman wasn't just a single nerf. I think it was 2 nerfs. I think you had the attack nerf, obviously, on Boxspine, but it was also a mana nerf on Dread Corsair. And we've seen the power of 1 mana nerfs on any number of cards. I think that was, it was talked about, but I don't think the impact was really felt until people started playing the deck. And I think that really slowed it down. I think Evolve Shaman's still okay. It still has a couple good matchups, but it's not like the surefire, you bring this deck, it gets banned, or you get a win with it in Conquest the way it was before. So I think there are other classes that have more versatility. Even though talking about aggro shaman and control shaman, they're fine, but I don't think they do aggro or control as well as some of the other classes. So if you want that type of deck, bring that type of class. So I think shaman's a bad bring.
Alrighty. RonMexico, Shaman, face trade.
I mean, you probably know what I'm going to say based on what I said in the Mulligan phase before. As much as I hate to trade, I'm trading on this one. Like, the Enhancement Shaman is just really good right now. It's a great option to bring. I don't know if you're familiar with Molstar, who's hanging out at like top 7 legend or something, but Brushy Tuna had to play him in Hero, and of all people, Brushy Tuna brought Control Shaman and actually got all 3 wins against Molstar in Hero with Control Shaman. And then we go back to Evolve Shaman. The weapon was nerfed by 1 attack. Yes, it impacts the Dread Corsair as well, but you still have Lightning Bloom. You have a lot of ways to still go crazy with the Evolved Shaman. I know from firsthand experience in my own hero match, high rolling twice 2 of my wins were just easy. Turn 5. Hey, look, I have a 10/10 Divine Shield Reborn minion that I got because I was able to bloom out the Knuckles early and then stick a Mogu and evolve it. Like, it does stupid things. And yes, the nerf hurts. It definitely makes the deck worse, and it's healthier for the meta overall. But Shaman is not at all a bad bring. It's very strong. It will be still quite a presence in competitive going forward.
Alrighty. Jammies, what are your thoughts here?
I'm going face on this one as well, and the reason is kind of in the same vein as Icicles, is that I think like delaying the big combo bursts like 1 or 2 turns significantly impacts like the board presence of this deck, and then giving some control decks an extra turn or two to brawl, to soul mirror, to for my brother to take the trash out, all that stuff.
He's taking the shaman decks out with him.
Yeah, he's taking out the trash. We're taking the trash out. Yeah, I just think that there are too many other good viable decks that have positive win rates against Shaman, or that like just needed that one extra turn in order to not get completely blown out, for them to recover and then get back to him. I've already played like a bunch of lineups that every single deck had sticky fingers in it, and that made like Shaman such a pain to play already. And I think like with if you continue bringing those techs, like if you bring Shaman, people are going to run Sticky Fingers. And if they run Sticky Fingers and you're just a little bit slower, like you can't pop off that extra turn earlier, you're just going to get destroyed. So it leaves you very vulnerable. And even like these new types of Shaman archetypes that are coming up are also very like weapon reliant. So Sticky Fingers is still going to be a valuable tech in these matchups. That's why I don't think it's going to be, now that you can't just Giga 10 somebody on turn 4 or 5, at least not as reliably. I just don't think that Shaman is going to be as good as some of these other decks that have been waiting and lurking for any nerf to Shaman.
Alrighty. Yeah, I personally I feel like Sticky Fingers is more of a hit against Enhancement Shaman than it is against Evolve Shaman. So you're right. If I see Shaman, I'm probably putting Sticky Fingers in it. We're going to stick with nerf discussion. We're going to move ourselves over to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Matrix himself. He dodged way too many nerfs, but he finally got hit with 1 mana. Mr. Edwin Van Cleef. We're going to talk about his inclusion, or I guess removal from rogue archetypes. Let's start with MartyB. CMAC asked, redeemed, is Edwin Hall of Famed yet? We can say almost now, which is exciting. But MartyB, let's start with you again here. Face or trade, Edwin should be cut from Tempo Rogue archetypes post nerf.
Face. But before I get into it, I want to mention the devs did say they're not going to Hall of Fame Edwin. They are rotating him. They said the Hall of Fame will be no more.
True.
So Edwin is not close to being Hall of Famed. Sorry to say, C-Mac. But anyways, yeah, I got to go face with this. Edwin is worse than King Crush in Face Hunter right now. Like, at least Crush can do damage, and it's an 8/8. You are spending so much mana, and you are getting Edwin out way too late for him to be worth anymore. You're better off just playing Double Questing Adventurer. Edwin just, at 4 mana, you can't high roll him. You have to wait and hold your resources for way too long. At that point, you're playing a bunch of other things. You're getting a bunch of higher cost spells and minions in your hand. You want to do other things. You want to swing the board, and Edwin doesn't fit that game plan. He doesn't even fit the aggro game plan anymore. So you just cut him from there too. There is nothing that wants Edwin right now. There's so many other cards that do much better things for cheaper right now. And Edwin has gone the way of the typical classic legendary of just not being run in the current standard year.
Alrighty. Good points. Mr. Mexico.
It hurts me, but I'm gonna trade again. I got a hard disagree here. Edwin is still just one card in a 29 card list that's insanely broken, and you still get to pull those high rolls. You're still able to Foxy Step, Foxy play Edwin. You're still able to prep out an Edwin on the coin with, like, you go prep Swindle coin and it just comes down on turn 3 instead of turn 4. Yeah, it definitely, like, it makes a big difference. It hurts. I'm not saying that it doesn't hurt Rogue, because obviously you'd rather him cost 3 than 4 if you're a Rogue player. A lot of mistakes are getting made from people who aren't paying attention. Like, they have 1 mana left and they Shadow Step Edwin, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let me play this 1 mana Edwin." Oh no, it costs 2. But like, if you're paying attention, and you're playing it smart, you still run 2 questing adventurers in your World Kick Rogue anyway, and then you just also have Edwin for additional payoffs. You have so many things that you can do well with that deck, and that deck works best with 3 threats instead of 2 threats. So your opponent knows, first I need to dodge this giant Edwin whenever it comes down. Then I need to dodge this giant questing. Then I need to have an answer for this other giant questing. And the way, if you structure your games that way and you keep up the pressure, you just have to be a lot more careful about it as a rogue in order to exploit Edwin as much as you still can. But to cut him is, I think, to me, it's a little bit crazy still. You have so many 0 mana cards. You have so many combo things. You generate Edwin from Whirl Kick too sometimes. Like, it's, and when you generate it, it feels good. It feels strong. It's not a card that you should be cutting, in my opinion.
Alrighty. Jammies.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to trade, but for different reasons. So when the devs released like why they were going to be nerfing Edwin, they released some data saying that there's never been like a card more highly correlated with like win percentage with the deck like being played than Edwin has been with Rogue. So like delaying that by a turn usually is very powerful, but I still think that that deck has enough tools that don't necessarily revolve around Edwin to make it good. So I don't think the Edwin nerf was enough the Edwin nerf was enough to cut him, but I do think that the deck will significantly be impacted so that we won't see it as frequently on ladder. So, I don't know if that just means that you shouldn't be playing like the deck at all now, because, a 2 mana 8/8 is so much better than a 3 mana 8/8. The amount of answers available on 3 mana like are numerous compared to the amount of answers that you can have on 2 mana. So I think that it'll make the deck worse, but I think people will still play the deck. So that's why I'm trading.
Okay. And Icicles, what are your thoughts on that one?
Here we go with the Icicles takes. I'm going to Trampling Rhino this one, which I'm going to trade, but send a little damaged face because on the surface, Edwin's worse than it was. And if I had something that I wanted to replace it with, I would. But Rogue really doesn't. It doesn't have something that does what Edwin does. It doesn't have that power spike that you can still get when you high roll the Foxy Fraud. It doesn't have that sort of additional win con with just the questings. It needs that little extra burst. Even though Edwin's worse, it still kind of fills that role. So I don't want to completely get rid of it just because I don't have anything better to put in there. And I think as long as Foxy Fraud and World Kick Master are there, I think you still want to keep Edwin in your deck, even though it doesn't really feel that great right now.
Alrighty, yeah, the Trampling Rhino take. RonMexico giving you some hype from the chat. Alrighty, we're going to move to THL, specifically the THL Hero Series. We talked about these guys last week, being ATL. We're going to bring them up again this week because they took home another 20-point week, bringing their season total to 80 points, which is absolutely insane. They've lost a grand total of four matches this entire season. So my question for the 4 of you, starting with Jammies here, or not my question, sorry, my statement, is that Advanced Tactical Lackeys go undefeated this season in Hero.
Face. I'm just like looking at the rest of the Orange conference that they're in. Like, I don't really see a team that's just like, oh man, like these guys are really gonna challenge the team that's left. Yeah, I just like, especially with the way that they're dominating and like the members on their team. The ATL has always been like one of those. They're guaranteed to make the playoffs, but like, or not guaranteed, but like 5-4. Like, they're gonna get there. Maybe they will just miss it one a season, but they'll get there. And then this time they just lucked out into a conference that wasn't that strong, and they're really showing like how much their competition like compares to them. I think once they make it to the playoffs, that they're gonna take an L. But as far as like the rest of the regular season, I'm going face and saying that they won't lose a game.
You know what, that take, I think it just flew by there with how much spice was in that take. Saying they're gonna go undefeated and then lose in the playoffs. That's I hope they're listening right now so they can
It's like
make you
the
eat your words.
Steelers move or something.
Ooh, oh, Browns
Well,
fans are rejoicing.
It's also a callback to my next level days when we back-to-back defeated some undefeated teams. I think Mako was a part of one of those teams.
The only undefeated team I've ever been on was HSA, and
Yeah, I think that was the one. It was in the semifinals. It wasn't in the finals, I think.
no, because the only undefeated HSA team I was on was we won the championship.
Oh, then maybe I'm wrong.
You just wanted to make me mad here. All right,
Yeah,
MartyB.
I was trying to lose some points.
MartyB, ATL goes undefeated.
All right, I don't think they will trade. I think that Hero is way too swingy a format. I think it's very easy for just a few high rolls to happen, and that's really all it takes. Just a few coin flips here and there, and all of ATL loses its week. It's gonna happen. It happens to every team every season, always, especially in Hero. Okay, but I do think it only happens once. Now, the real hot take isn't just what Jammies said, that they're going to lose in the playoffs. It's that they're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs that they play in.
So you're saying Orange is so weak compared to the other conferences that the best team's going to lose in the first round to a different team in another conference?
No, I think it'll be a massive upset, and that'll be another one of those coin flips.
Okay, I got you.
I can't say that Orange is weak. I'm in Orange.
I am too.
Yeah, we're on the same team. What are you talking about?
Listen, man, I gotta tell you, I forget all the time. You have your both names. Like it doesn't
It's
process in my
fine.
head.
It's
Whatever.
fine.
Yeah, anyways.
It's fine.
This reminds
Yeah.
me of the time Steffi forgot one of her Swagoi teammates.
Oh yeah.
Well, we didn't forget each other, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I would never forget you, Mako.
Thank you. RonMexico.
Man, it's making me really sad that I can't go face. First, I gotta say, I really, really want to see Icicles go trampling Rhino on this because it is literally impossible to take both sides. But when we look at this, I gotta trade. Like, they're not going undefeated. Nobody is going undefeated. What might get lost in the mix here is just that ATL is the real deal. We didn't give them credit enough for how good they are. But they're 4-0. They're leading all of Hero Series at 8-0. But you look at the remainder of their schedule. I mean, yeah, they just came off of stomping Agua, but do they actually do it again? And they also beat Darkside and Tonk and Servants of Yogg-Saron. I mean, all of these teams are really, really strong. They're the main reason that Orange was super hyped before the season. And the team that was the forgotten team was ATL. Everybody was saying how all the other teams in Orange are insane. So ATL, I mean, props to them. They probably had a fire lit under them because they're like, hey, look at this mad disrespect we're getting from everybody saying Orange is so good and no one's talking about ATL. Well, they're absolute top of the entire series right now. But to say that they're going to win the next 4 too against this stacked field, that's a little crazy. They are making playoffs. I'll tell you that. And I don't think they're losing round 1 either.
They defeated like the best team in their conference already. I'm just saying this last week, and I think that was their biggest threat to going undefeated. And now that they're out of the way, I don't see them struggling the rest of the way.
But they play the same team again.
Yeah,
as well as all the other teams that they already beat. It's just saying that not only are you going to beat them once, but you're going to beat everyone again.
So the team that we said was their biggest, or at least that I consider their biggest threat, Agunga Among Us, they beat them 20-6, 5-0 in match sets.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think you can come back from that.
Let's let the Icicles man himself get a word in.
Ron is correct. I cannot trampoline this one. I am going to go trade. And we did work out how the hero schedule works, so I'm glad that everyone got there. They do have to play each team that they beat again. And, there's on one hand, there's random, there's point flips and everything, but I think there's just motivation. And when you lose to a team and then you get to play them again, now ATL's got a target on their back. And they get to play all these teams again that are going to be gunning for them. It's too hard to do that once more. To be a team twice in the same season is doable, but to do it to 4 separate teams that are really good, I was there with Orange being one of the tougher conferences, and I did give ATL their due. I had them as an epic coming into the preseason. That's pretty good. So I think this is a good conference. I think ATL has just had a crazy run, but I don't expect them to go undefeated. I do expect them to be a serious playoff threat. They've proved it, but not undefeated in the regular season. So trade.
Okie dokie. We have one final question in our face or trade round before we eliminate 2 players. Right now, Ron and Icicles are tied at 21 with Jammies at 19 and MartyB at 18. It's very, very close, and we could see a couple of people sneaking up towards the top here. Let's start. You know what, MartyB, I'll give you the choice being in last place at the moment. Would you rather go first or last in this final question?
I know the final question.
And this is the final question before we eliminate, first or last.
I'll go last. Save the best for last.
All right, let's start with Icicles, defending champion. We'll go RonMexico, Jammies, MartyB. Our final question is our last Battlegrounds related question. We're not talking gameplay, we're talking finals, baby. And we last week talked about Bob's fuckers. What's their name? Bob's
Bounty Hunters.
Bob's Bounty Hunters. I couldn't remember their actual names. And how we said that, the other teams are strong, but they were going to end up on top. But if you look at the point totals after 1 week, we have a team that's only 5 points behind them. So my face or trade statement for you, Icicles, to start is that concede your match will take home the Battlegrounds Alpha Championship.
Base. I was looking at this because I figured this question was coming. Could Bob's Bounty Hunters get knocked off? And last week I said Bob's Bounty Hunters has been dominating. They had more points than all the other teams despite missing the last week because they had clinched their spot in the finals. But then this first week happens. Maybe the pressure's getting to them. They still are in the lead, but concede your match. It was impressive. It's good performances. And one of the brackets, both of their players finished above both of the Bob's Bounty Hunters players in both lobbies. So I think concede your match can do it. I think they can pull the epic upset. We talk about motivation. We talk about underdogs. We talk about teams coming out of nowhere and getting revenge. And I like it. I like concede your match. And I think they're going to tell Bob's Bounty Hunters, just go ahead, concede. That lobby starts, and they're going to take home the finals.
Alrighty. RonMexico, concede your match. Champions, yes or no?
Mako, I can't believe you made me trade every single question. I'm trading because Bob's Bounty Hunters is winning. Just no way. They're absolutely going to take this down. Pocky went first and first. That's insane. Half a Bear went second and third. Jump Float actually got a first, even though they also got an eighth. And that's just something that can occasionally happen to anybody when you get some rough luck or a bad hero. And Jump Float was their lowest point earner throughout the season. And Drosty had a rough lobby as well. It was kind of a fluky lobby, it felt like, for the first round. And then the second round, it was just Pocky, like, man on a mission, like, pure domination. I mean, this team has been head and shoulders above every other team the entire season. And when you look at Battlegrounds, I look at consistency. I look at, this is a very random type game. There's all kinds of crazy things that happen, but in the end, mostly skill wins out. And Bob's Bounty Hunters has proved that they have a very much a higher skill cap than every other team. I think Concede Your Match is clearly the second best team here, and they are going to be close. But, I mean, look at the points. They're still trailing. Bob's Bounty Hunters has a lead. They're not giving it up. They're taking down the title.
Alrighty. Jammies.
I think Concede has the best team on paper. Just like I played in the BG series as well, and the team that I consistently was afraid to play against was the your mum kid and Agent PWE, because I think that they're two of the best, if not the two best players in the battlegrounds, like Alpha Series Alpha. The thing that concerns me is the letter W and RonMexico as like the second half of their team. Um, I think at the end of the day, though, like looking at everyone, I'm gonna have to trade and also go with Bob's Bounty Hunters, because top to the bottom, like they are just fielding the best team. Play wise, like top to bottom. So even if Mump and PWE are like 1 and 2, and Hoppa and Pokey have to be there like 3 and 4, like right there. And then Andraste might even be 5. So I think that at the end of the day, Bob's Bounty Hunters has to be the one that we like say are the favorite and are the most likely to win.
Okay. MartyB, take us home.
Man, I gotta say, you guys disappoint me. I'm gonna go face. You gotta go face here. Like, everyone loves an underdog. Everyone loves an upset. We gotta see it. I think Concede Your Match can do it. Battlegrounds is one of those things where, yes, there is a skill gap, but as you get higher to the top, skill gap also shrinks. And that's very important. And all you need is a few lucky rolls, and then all of a sudden, you're way ahead again. And that's all Concede Your Match needs. We saw this last week with BBH. They were slipping a little bit. They could slip again. I can really see that happening. I think Concede Your Match really has a chance here. They come out and pound it. They want to cream the competition. They want to get in there fast. Want to grab the best beans they can. They're going to get there. I know for a fact. I know some of you guys were sleeping on guys like the letter W and RonMexico, but I know for sure RonMexico has plenty of Battlegrounds experience. The letter W I have faith in as well. I think they can pull together for one more week, get ahead, and get that win.
Alrighty. We shall see. The Battlegrounds, the second week of the Battlegrounds Championship will be taking place this upcoming Sunday, which is the 17th. I'm not 100% sure the time. I think it's 9 p.m. Is that correct? Does anyone know if that's the correct time?
Yes, I think it's
I
9
think so.
p.m.
I'm like
9
90%
p.m.
sure. Okay. 9 p.m. Sunday, the 17th, will be your second week and your second final week of the Battlegrounds Championship for our Alpha season. So tune in for that, especially. We are going to say goodbye for now to Mr. Jammies and Mr. MartyB. They will be back at the end to say their final goodbyes, but we will be eliminating for the moment while Mr. RonMexico and defending champion Icicles enter into Glockera, and they do their version of a duel. We have 4 questions coming at you with our duel round, 3 Hearthstone and 1 for fun. It is not a food question. I apologize.
Nice. No, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Apologize.
I don't need it to be food.
But yeah, anything you two want to say real quick while I'm editing the visuals for our final rounds before I throw you on mute?
So, Ron, I was thinking about how to trampoline right. Another question about ATL going undefeated. I could have said they will go undefeated, but not all wins. They could have also thrown in a tie.
Ooh, that's so good. That's so good.
I didn't
Nice
think of it
trampling
fast
rhino.
enough. Almost.
Well
almost.
played. Oh yeah, just slightly late.
Alrighty. So we will talk to them here pretty soon, but right now we're going to have a nice little one-on-one Hearthside chat with Mr. RonMexico and Icicles. I'm going to reset their counter to 0, and we will get a move on. So we're going to start off here with some THL questions. Actually, all 3 of our Hearthstone questions are THL questions. So get ready for that. The first up accounts, someone donated 1 point to Icicles, and now they're demanding I stop. All right. We're gonna get started here with a wild question. We are 2 weeks into the wild series season. I believe it's season 2. And we have 2 conferences, brown and green. So let's start with RonMexico, given he was leading at the end of the last section. RonMexico, After 2 weeks of Wild, is Brown or Green Conference looking stronger?
That's not really that tough, honestly. I think Green is just head and shoulders ahead of Brown. Seas of Cheese is actually like really impressing me from Brown. They're leading, and Hey Loser is a very scary, strong team in Brown. But they kind of fall off a cliff from there. Like a Noyo team is the third best team in Brown as far as standings right now, and a Noyo team unfortunately picked up, I think, no less than 12 of their 33 points from DQ victories. So things aren't really looking great in Brown outside of maybe two teams that are kind of setting themselves apart. Everyone's a winner is insane right now in Green. We have F2L Viridian, who is 1 point behind them and literally won the title last season. That team is still very, very scary. Hair Club is extremely competitive. Maiden Heaven put up a 23-point week in week one. And even though they had a rough week, we've already seen them show what they're capable of. And Patch's Payback is also extremely competitive. When we look at Wild and what teams actually make the playoffs, you have the top teams from the conferences, and then you have your at-large bids. And right now, it's based off total point earners. Right now, it looks like it's probably going to be two teams from Green that are going to go in as the at-large bids. I think when the season plays out, because I don't really give enough credit to a Noyo team with their 33 points being like really at 33. The other teams had to truly earn it in Green. I think they're just a much scarier conference right now.
Alrighty. Icicles, Brown or Green? Which one is looking stronger?
Yeah, so keeping with my trampling rhino takes, I think they're pretty even, and we can say that because we have some data to work with. We have cross conference play, and right now the records are completely even between the two conferences, and we're coming into a week where every team in Brown plays a team in Green, and I'm really looking forward to some of these matches. In particular, I want to highlight Hey Loser versus F2O. I think that's easily the premier match this week between a Brown and Green conference team. I think Hey Loser is going to be the winner there, and then the other team, Ron mentioned the Noyo team, getting a lot of points off of the DQs from the Twitch.tv blah 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 team, and they're playing against Maiden Heaven. And so those are two kind of mid-tier teams that I think are going to have to say a lot about which conference actually is stronger between Brown and Green. And I think Noyo team takes that one as well. So my two premier matches in determining which conference is stronger between Brown and Green, I'm picking the Brown team. So I got to go with Brown here, and I think they're going to end up being the winner in this cross conference week, and end up being the better conference overall between the two, at least for this week.
Alrighty. We're going to now move away from Wild, and we're going to finish off our Hearthstone questions with Legacy. We haven't touched on Legacy tonight. We are now 3 weeks into the Legacy season, and you're starting to see some patterns as far as teams go in Legacy. So I want to throw some of those patterns at the two of you. Starting with Icicles, we're going to rotate back and forth here. So, Icicles, starting with you, who is your most underrated Legacy Series team at the moment?
Underrated. I think the team that I'm kind of looking at as being underrated, and so you can look at some of these top teams that are all 3-0, and that's all well and good, but I'm looking at a team that's 1-2, and that is Siron, not Preface for Rogues, it's Swallows that follows. I think you look at the Red Conference, and it's setting up to be an absolute bloodbath. The top team isn't even a full week's worth of points ahead of the bottom team. So this conference is going to be competitive all the way through. You're seeing some huge divides between the top teams and bottom teams in silver and gold. You've got a couple teams just kind of running away with it. So give me a team in red. Give me a team that's going to be battle tested going into the playoffs. Swallows that follows looks to me like the type of team that can make a Dad Legend run where they basically sneak into the playoffs and then start dominating the other conferences. So I'm taking them. I think the backup plan for me is Preface for Rogues Not Pilots, also a team that I was really high on coming into the season, also 1-2, also in red. I think those two teams, if they make the playoffs, are going to be teams that these other gold and silver teams that are undefeated right now are not going to want to see in the first round of the playoffs.
Alrighty, RonMexico, who is underrated to you?
All right. This is going to be kind of interesting because they're undefeated. Let me before I go into this though,
Okay.
let me just say, no way is Preface for Rogues underrated. This team is just hot garbage. Me and Tuna on the same team. No way. We're not even making playoffs. All right. But let me go to Silver Conference and talk about Flame Pimps. They've got 54 points. They're tied for the lead. They're 3-0. I just haven't really heard anybody talk about them much. Meme Dream Team has been on top. Hot Zilfs has been on top. This is the conference with our legacy championship match from last season, Dad Legend and HSA. I just don't think Flame Pimps has gotten enough attention yet, and this team is insane. They're on fire. They're just destroying everybody right now, and they don't look like they are going to be able to be stopped. I mean, their record obviously shows it right here that they're 3-0. So I'm sure there's going to be some information out there saying, "Hey, this team is a team to watch out for." But I just haven't heard their name mentioned. I feel enough at this point to feel like they're properly rated, and where they're properly rated right now, I don't know, golden legendary in a podcast. Did you put him there, Icicles?
I was gonna say, if you haven't heard Flame Pits being talked about, it's because you haven't been listening to the podcast, because we've had them pretty consistently in our Epic category, which is a team that we feel is very good. Definitely a playoff contender. Maybe not quite at the very, very top, but Epic's good.
True. And the epic is the legendary of the mini set, as we learned tonight.
Nice.
Let's finish off our Hearthstone/THL questions with another legacy question. And we're gonna move from underrated to undefeated. We're staying with the uns theme. And we're gonna go back to starting with Ron here. Ron, which of the current legacy undefeated teams will miss playoffs?
We'll miss the playoffs. Okay.
Correct. We're only 3
you-
weeks in.
Okay. Well, that's surprising. Let's run through the undefeated teams real quick, just for those who don't know. Team Tries is the only undefeated team in red. We've got Foolish Madmen, F2L red, Golden Comet in gold, and we've got Meme Dream Team, Flame Pimps, and Dad Legend in silver. And I'm gonna say it. It's Dad Legend. They're missing playoffs. It's time. They're washed this season, all right? They won their title. Yellow Dart is happy. He's satisfied. He's resting on his laurels. We've got Hot Zilfs chomping at the bit. We've got Hearthstone Academy not having a good season so far and angrily wanting to take that top spot. And they got to deal with Meme Dream Team and Flame Pimps as well. This is a really hard conference to be in, and Dad Legend doesn't have enough of a lead on the rest of the teams. See a little bit of momentum picked up from their contenders, and Dad Legend goes bye-bye. So I think out of all those teams, it's also more just because there is no way Team Tries is not making playoffs. There's no way Foolish Madmen is not making playoffs. I don't see it happening with F2O Red and criminally underrated previously Golden Common BTW making playoffs. The whole reason for their name, obviously, that they were once rated a Golden Common. These teams are all making it, as are Meme Dream Team and Flame Pimps, leaving Dad Legend the only answer.
Alrighty. Someone in chat did not like that answer. Sorry.
I also had to do that for DeSharmo.
Icicles.
That is a spicy take from Ron, not the direction I would go. I think that their lead in the Silver Conference is actually pretty safe. I think that we've seen in Silver that's kind of divided between the haves and the have-nots. The team that I'm going to go with, a team that if you listen to the podcast ever, you saw me grinning when you said this question. You knew exactly what I was going to say. And that's right. I'm taking shots at Posca. It's Golden Common, by the way. So the name Golden Common, by the way, comes from the fact that I always underrate Posca's team. It's not my fault. I blame the metrics. But this season, the metrics were on Posca's side to start the season. And I think it's had a bad effect on their team because I don't think they've lived up to expectations. Yes, they're 3-0. Sure, that's great. But their problem is they're not putting up enough points. And okay, fine. They've got the same number of points as Dad Legend, so you can kind of say that Ron's onto something there. But the problem is, as easy as Dad Legend's schedule has been, Golden Commons has been even easier. Their strength of schedule is the lowest of any team in Legacy altogether. So let's see what happens when they start hit the good teams in the Gold Conference. We'll see if they are able to keep up with their winning ways, or if it's just going to be another instance of me being proven wrong by Pasca. In this case, I had them rated highly, and they may be underperforming. So can't take any opportunity to go after Pasca. So I don't do it on the podcast enough this time around, so I'm taking it on the Saloon.
Alrighty. We have one final question. I guess it's just become a tradition now to finish Saloon with a random non-Hearthstone related question. I didn't have one planned last week, so I had to think on my toes. But I have one planned this week, and we're not doing food related. Wait, whose turn is it to go first? It's Icicles' turn to go first. So, Icicles, this has been a hot button topic of debates in the THL community, off and on at the end of the past year and the beginning of this year. It's been a kind of a hot button debate in general. If you follow game journalists and personalities on Twitter and whatnot. So Icicles, my question for you to start, and then RonMexico to follow. What was the 2020 Game of the Year?
2020 Game of the Year. We've been talking about podcasts, and I gotta go with one. The only podcast I've ever been on that didn't have to do with Hearthstone, and that is Hades. It's a game that's been championed by our own Ridiculous Hat. He started his own Discord server and own podcast, and he's been able to interview a whole bunch of personalities and streamers, give people a lot of intel on how to play the game, how to get started in the game. And it's just a really fun game. It's a game that I put over 100 hours into, and I mean, I don't put that much time into anything other than Hearthstone. So at least from a game perspective, I do with my family. But Hades for me was just a monster hit. It was a lot of fun, hit a lot of right buttons, a lot of replayability. So I'm going Hades.
Alrighty, RonMexico Game of the Year 2020.
All right, I'm sad that Icicles got to go first, but we're gonna pivot here. Listen, I went to Reddit. Okay, I had to do this. I gotta pull a page out of Icicles' book, and it's obviously The Last of Us Part 2. There was no game more controversial than The Last of Us Part 2, all right? And based on user Ice Age's comment, so I think this person is, directly a counter to Icicles' ice cold takes. He says it absolutely deserved it. May just be me, but also deserved a nod for best soundtrack as well. So, I mean, there you have it. Controversial, icy takes from Reddit commenters and incredible soundtrack. How can you beat a game like Last of Us 2? Reddit clearly has spoken.
So, you're right. That was the 2020 Game of the Year. I'm not going to disagree with you. But you're not getting more than 1 point here because you got all of that from Reddit. If that would have came straight from the man himself, that would have been Point-a-Palooza. But it came from Reddit. Oh my God, TwoStarMako, you piece of garbage.
Oh, the 0 hour doesn't count? Did we go to a tiebreaker?
Nope. No, we don't. I have to stay consistent. Because
it gave it to me for a second. Close call to TwoStarMako.
I did. But at MartyB's last time he was on the show, at the end of the round, once I was done asking questions and I was about to talk about who won, someone donated to MartyB and it would have put him over the top, and I said I wasn't counting it. So I have, for consistency's sake,
Touché.
I can't take it.
In fairness, if you would ask me first, I would have said Hades.
I mean, that's okay. Based decided that she was going to say that The Last of Us 2 was bad in chat, so I timed her out for 600 seconds.
Solid.
So, careful here. Tiptoeing. Anyways, Icicles with our first, back-to-back winner. That's crazy. We haven't had one of these before. Our resident Ken Jennings, if you will. Test
far
me,
less
Jammies.
controversial
Test
Twitter
me.
takes.
I don't give a shit. I'm gonna abuse my moderator powers if people talk crap about the best game of 2020 in chat. Jammies tries to test me, and he gets that timeout as well. Icicles, this is your time to shine. This is your lethal. Talk about whatever you would like to talk about. It is all you, bud. You have the floor.
All right, well, I was not prepared for this. I did not expect to win once again, but I will tip my fellow competitor, MartyB, because the person that gave him that point that caused all the controversy in that week was me. I was the one that was trying to push MartyB over the finish line. So I have to at least give him some credit here for his better takes that show than this one. I think this one's a little bit weaker overall, but yeah, I know that he'll be bouncing back strong. And so, Mako, I will say to you, the show is great. You do a great job. And there's probably no room for this whatsoever, and I don't expect you to do it. But I will say that the rules as currently constituted are clearly something's wrong here, because there's no way I should be winning twice in a row. So I don't know if you got to fix something or just like put something in writing so that it doesn't happen again. But it's your show. You're doing great.
Okay.
And thanks for doing it.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you gotta make worse points and be a worse talker next week. What is it that Kevin Malone says on The Office? Why use a lot word when few word do trick? That's what you got to do next week. You won't get those points. But
Fair
yeah,
enough.
so you will hopefully be back next week for a hopeful three-peat if you're able to. Obviously, if you're not able to, we're not going to force you. Before
One,
I
not two, not three.
keep on going, just gotta sweep the whole year. Before I open up the floor to the others as well and unmute Jammies and MartyB here, one thing I'm going to throw on the side. We had a member of the Around the Saloon family decide to drop from the show. And that leaves us with an opening. I sent out an everyone ping in the content Discord, but not everyone's in the content Discord. So I'm throwing it out to everyone that's watching the show and everyone that watches the show each week. If you are interested in joining the Around the Saloon cast and being a panelist on the show and a part of the rotation that you see each week, shoot me a message. I have a few people that are interested right now. I'm going to pick one person to fill that spot for the rest of the season here in a couple of days, probably on like Monday. So if you're interested, shoot me a DM. I'm going to look at everybody and we'll make a decision there. But let's unmute the other two and see what they've been chopping at the bits to say this entire time. MartyB's just shaking his head. No words. Speechless. I figured you'd be happy I was consistent with that rule there.
No, that was another robbery.
Oh, wow.
Robbery in broad daylight.
Wow. Okay.
Amazing.
No, I gotta be the foil here.
Okay.
So, don't worry. I don't have any big long speeches, no lessons this time. I want to thank Icicles for the drama last time I was on. And I want to say that everyone here did really well. I thought the competition was great. And yeah, I should have won. I demand a recount.
Nice.
I would like to point out that TwoStarMako donated that point to you like what, 2 questions after you just said his team was going to miss the playoffs in Legacy.
Oh yeah.
So I guess we know where TwoStarMako's loyalties lie. They would lie with the Ron and not with the Dad Legend.
Thanks, Captain.
It's fuel. It's fuel, he says. Jammies, do you have any last things to say here before we sign off for the night?
It was refreshing having 4 intelligent men here and Mako join us. It was really fun. Last time we had Tuna, and that made it a little difficult to stay on topic and make some actually good comments. And The Last of Us 2 was not a great game. It should not have won Game of the Year. I can't say it.
Oh no, my finger slipped. Actually, I just noticed this. We didn't have. I thought things felt a little quieter than chat this week, and it's because we didn't have the Tuna himself in chat. He missed this week, so I'm sure we'll hear all about his thoughts at some point whenever he watches the VOD, because I can rest assured with Ron being on the show, Tuna will have watched this VOD in the next few hours as soon as he is able to.
Oh yeah, I'm awaiting the pings that are telling me that I suck because I didn't win. It's coming.
It's coming.
Like a countdown.
They're going to be coming in hot and fast.
Of
Alrighty.
course.
We are going to be signing off for the 9th. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week, next Monday at 9 o'clock again. I don't know who will be on, but we can rest assured say that Icicles will probably be on to go for that 3-peat. And maybe he'll get it, maybe he won't. We'll find out. Maybe we'll get Boozosaurus on. I've only asked him to be on every single episode because he's a part of the cast and he hasn't been able to. So we will find
The
out
rumored
that one too.
Boozosaurus. Oh my god.
The man, the myth, the legend, the one who says he'll be here and then doesn't show up. We'll find out. But yeah, we'll see about that. And like I said, if you're interested in being on the show as a part of the regular cast, let me know. We have one spot that has opened up because someone has dropped. So without further ado, we will say good night and we will talk to you next Monday.
Have a good night, everybody.
There's the end stream button. Icicles doing the brushy sign off.